Welcome back. I'm here today with Mandy Barton. She's author of the book of Step 1 Jump. Mandy, welcome to today's show.
Thank you for having me.
So for the listeners here, can you give me background of how you got to where you are today and your pathway, and then we can jump into the book.
Sure. I'm in the transportation trucking business, so I've been in logistics. And I got started because right out of college, I couldn't find a job. I was going to work for a temp agency and was going to take anything they would give me. And I got hired on by a company that FedEx eventually bought. So I got into the third-party logistics business. And every day going to work, I was having a lot of trouble with my brokers. So they would take all of the really easy freight, the Houston to Memphis, and then when I had the Amarillo load, they would leave me hanging. So I found that I was spending my work days really ticked off all the time. And so when you're in your early 20s and you're naive, you think you can do things like start trucking companies. So I did that. And I really started just to not quit on my customers, because as a buyer, that's all I wanted when I was in the customer seat. So that's how I got started, just jumped right in. And 5 years of really difficult startup. And I'm sure I was out of business 2 or 3 times in there, but I was working too hard to notice.
When you're trying to gather courage to say, okay, I see there's a problem, I need to fill the void. Were you prepared to do this and fail, or did that cross your mind? Or
I was really working to solve a problem. Failure didn't occur to me, success didn't occur to me. I was focused on a problem that needed to be solved.
And when you went into solving the problem, was there a certain way you approached it, or said, I'll just figure out as I go through this?
You always think you know how. I just knew I wasn't going to quit. So when I couldn't find the truck either for one of these difficult loads, I would continue calling my client and let them know that I was still working on it, what I was doing, what I was in the process of, what had not worked. Because when I was in that seat, I just got abandoned. So I thought, how hard is it to just not quit? I just don't quit trying. So that's all I did, was just got in there and didn't quit trying.
So when you stepped into logistics, the company, is it a software base for delivery, or is it actual? Did you have to did you buy the trucks, or how did you go about saying, I'm in business as a truck company now?
I've obtained broker authority. So I had legal right to broker freight in the country, anything but household goods. And so I just started with my old coworkers, were my first clients. They eventually moved on to new customers or new employers, and they became traffic managers and logistics coordinators and whatnot. So they became my first clients.
So this fits very naturally into a book that you wrote, Step 1 Jump. And it's something that not only you wrote about, but it's actually a true story about processes you used to get this going. Can you tell me how long did it take you to get this book?
It was 1.5 years in the works. And when you meet with any kind of success in life, you get more and more people wanting to pick your brain, ask how you did it, any tips for me, anything like that. And that was becoming 4 or 5 times a week. And so I decided I'm going to put this into a blueprint to the best of my ability and be able to hand that out.
So when you finally got through the book, then I guess the time frame of you putting the process together, but you had to have editorial boards and
yes, we had an editor go through it after I was done writing it. So it's been, the whole process took 1.5 years.
1.5 years, okay.
Now that was really getting after it.
Okay, so Mandy, I want to get into this Step 1 Jump, and really it's a step that it's taking a person through where they're not satisfied currently with their life, and how to create a real change for them. But I need to take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be back after these messages with Mandy Barton.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to cast a fly rod and
as long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan. Welcome back. I'm here today with Mandy Barton, and we've been talking about her book, Step One Jump. The book was inspired as Mandy jumped in to solve a problem that she saw in the logistics industry and ended up starting her own company, and then wrote about her experience of helping walk individuals through the process who are looking for a change in their life. And so, Mandy, I want to start into the first place that you recommend a person start who's looking for change.
Well, the first thing is how I've always been really good at keeping what's important on the front burner, which I think is not something a lot of people look at. So what I have in front of my face all the time is the goals I'm after, the quotes that inspire me. I use a digital photo frame that sits on my desk, and it just rolls through the goals for the year, how I'm tracking toward them, quotes that inspire me. I write we all have those times when we're excited and on fire about life. And when I'm in that mode, I write the notes to my future self having a down day. So I can get myself back on track very quickly.
You know, it's not easy when you're running a business to always keep upbeat, is it?
Not at all.
And so so your advice of keeping things on the front burner, when you encounter a problem in business, and sometimes these problems are not easy to deal with, what advice do you have for the person who wants to take it off the front burner and put it in the back?
You have to have a goal that inspires you, that you're working toward. Without something you're moving toward, mischief and mayhem happens in that space. And when you're focused and excited about achieving something, and you've committed to it, I mean, there's a key component, commitment there, all the noise falls off. All the down stuff falls away because there's something more important in its space.
So how important is accountability to yourself in
It doesn't work without it. So it's all the tricks that the procrastinating, I've got to check my email, I've got to change my oil, all the things besides the important thing I'm supposed to do that day. So it's getting to know your own tricks, and I say in the book, tricking your trickster. You know, when I have to do the hard thing, I know the process I go through. I bury myself in email response. Just silly things that are not the most important. So I do circle the most important thing I have to do in a day, and I don't let myself do other tasks until that's done. And then if a certain task shows up on my to-do list more than 3 days in a row, I don't write it anymore, and I know I'm not going to allow that.
So if that task in the 3 days is important, oftentimes what do you find yourself doing where you're...
I find myself doing it on that third day because I have a rule, I won't write it on my to-do list, so it'll be forgotten. And it works for me. This is about to go off the radar. If you don't do it, this is about to go off the radar.
So as you scale, as you find yourself scaling your company and trying to, work with more companies, individuals, how important was hiring the right people in that process?
Your team is everything. I mean, you're the right team. We all have the weaknesses that we need to compensate for with our team. And I say that being a solo artist for a long time in my company, and it goes a lot faster. The growth happens a lot faster when you get the right team around you.
Tell me the process of how did you make that decision to say, I'm not going to make this just about me, but I'm going to expand it and bring people in to help me?
My results weren't going as fast as I wanted them to, and that's the importance of having the big goal that you're excited about, because that outcome required me to be different, required me to do something different, which required me to be a different person, someone that didn't have to do it by myself.
So Mandy, I need to take a quick break,
Okay.
but visiting here today with Mandy Barton. She's author of the book, A Step One Jump. We'll be right back after these messages. since you can't take your wealth with you, spend time with your family. Welcome back. I'm here today with Mandy Barton. She's author of the book of Step One Jump. And Mandy, we're talking about the process by which you identified a problem in the logistics space of, not getting the service that you needed to get the deliveries consistently, and so you decided, I'm going to jump out. I'm going to do my own company, and then you found yourself, can't do it by myself. I need to bring others in. In your book, you talk about the dream muscle. What is the dream muscle?
Well, we all have one. Children don't have a problem with this. I mean, they may be the first person on Mars. I mean, they're not hindered. But somewhere in our early 20s, our dream muscle atrophies because it's not getting worked anymore. We wanted to get that degree. We wanted to get the job, the kids, the marriage, whatever it was. And we're not taught to set the next one. And when it's not exercised, the muscle gets weak.
And so when you're bringing people in and exercising that muscle, how do you get them to consistently follow the same process?
Well, I have all the tools that I use to get myself unstuck, which I detail in my book. But it doesn't work if there's not a big dream you're going after, if there's nothing inspiring about your future.
And so the vision, as you scale that out, you suddenly find you got one employee, and now you're up to what, 17 with this? But would you say, how important is technology in this company?
In the logistics business, it's very important. And the reason for that is 90% of the capacity in the U.S. is mom and pop trucking companies, less than 20 trucks. And these big retailers and manufacturers need a lot bigger fleets than that. But they're too technologically advanced to talk to the mom and pop trucking companies. So I'm that intermediary. I speak on the computer to the big guys, and I speak on the phone to the little guys.
Yeah, that's interesting that the way you put that. I'm on the phone, one-on-one with little guys and big guys. The computer's fine.
And I consider myself one of both. I'm definitely still a little guy in a lot of ways. So I like that aspect of the trucking industry. There's just very real, authentic people in the business.
So in dealing with a company, we live in these uncertain times, and oftentimes people will work for, I need certainty. I need to know what's happening to the economy, where it's going in. And unfortunately, we can't necessarily predict that. But in your book, you talk about never giving up or never quitting.
That's the secret weapon.
How did you deal with that?
It's just the only thing that makes it all work. No matter how many failures or how many whammies you get hit with, if you're never going to quit, you're never going to fail, truly fail.
Now, in this process of logistics, and by the way, that the company's been a remarkable success, but were you doing it for the money or were you doing it for something else?
No, I was doing it because when I was a customer, I was being quit on when the tough load was there that needed to be covered. And I just quit to not quit on the tough loads. That's all I did. I thought, surely I can just not quit. And in doing so, I will build the relationships and I'll get the easier freight as well. And that is how it worked out.
And so following and pursuing the passion in spite of good or bad times. So as a person walks through this process of change, how do you advise them to continually reinvent themselves?
Well, if I could see my success now, then it would have scared me to death. I couldn't see that far. I always tell people the path becomes clear, but you have to get on the path first. And you could just take the next step and the next step, and you can see more and more as you go. And I would have run screaming if I had seen all that there is today. I wasn't ready for it.
When you look into the future, what vision do you have to?
It's a constant pattern of growth. Growth of the company requires growth of the people, and I'm excited to see what happens with my people and with myself.
What advice do you have for the aspiring entrepreneur today?
Just jump. Just get in there and do the first thing you think of and kick down, go around, crawl under, adjust, readjust. and just get on the path, just get started.
Do in the process of working through, we talked a little bit about accountability. Do you advise people to have a mentor or a coach or somebody they can come to?
I have several chapters in my book devoted to this subject. I always have a coach. I've always had a coach, and always have a mentor. And I always say, always be a coach and a mentor, because there's always something you can teach someone. And you get the process of giving and receiving going when you're mentoring people and you have a mentor that's been where you want to go.
What's the difference between a coach and a mentor?
A coach will get in your business. A coach doesn't care about your feelings. A coach is committed to your outcomes. And a mentor has been where you want to go.
And so when everything's said and done, when you look at the philosophy of life, what do you want them to say about Mandy Barton?
I'm going to say she was constantly growing and pushing it.
So Mandy, as you, for people that want more information, where to get the book, how would they go about getting a copy of your book, Step One Jump?
MandyBarton.com.
It's MandyBarton.com, and then is it paperback and hardback, or?
It's paperback on Amazon. The Kindle and Nook versions are on Amazon, and the audiobook is supposed to be out today. So.
Audiobook. Well, that's a perfect thing for the person who's driving on the road. And,
that's right.
Self-improvement. I love this. This is really for the times of constant change that we have. It's very timely. So Mandy, I'd like to thank you for being on today's show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is fun.
Been visiting here today with Mandy Barton, author of the book Step One Jump. We'll be right back after these messages.